Hello, everybody. Today is Monday, December 1st. My name is Miloš Krajčnik. This is Canuck News. Going back to the Conservatives and this pipeline. Things are getting heated up. Guys. What can I say? Some of the Conservatives aren't happy with the great Premier Danielle Smith for doing or trying to do great things, at least for the province, really pushing that pipeline through. She was apparently booed. We're going to watch a quick clip on this. And then what we have is the federal government trying to extinguish as many fires as possible from all sides, but also other premiers getting buy-in or trying to get buy-in on the major infrastructure projects, like the Northwest Territories Premier. But let's get into it, guys. Let's get into it.
Danielle Smith appeared fired up this weekend, fresh from penning a deal with Ottawa.
We have been abused and taken for granted repeatedly over the past decades. But my friends, let's not throw in the towel and give up on our country just as the battle has turned in our favor and victory is in sight. It is.
Alberta's premier sold a new energy-focused Memorandum of Understanding with Ottawa to her party at its annual general meeting, a deal that could create a new bitumen pipeline if the two governments continue to cooperate.
I will take the advice of a great U.S. President, Ronald Reagan, who said when dealing with a former adversary, trust but verify. And on behalf of Albertans, I will be verifying and holding Ottawa accountable, as you know, every step of the way. You can absolutely count on that.
Got a little stumble there.
Not everyone is on board. While recent polling shows most Albertans want to stay in Canada, some want independence, and many say they never want to team up with Ottawa.
And that's funny. You know, the premier of a province, really, as premier, your goal is to propel, let's say, your province forward as much as you can in every way you can, right? These pipelines are key to the continued prosperity of Alberta, also of Canada as well. You know, we talked about it a million times, you know, using the pipelines, using this energy. Canada can really be doing a million different things, completely transforming the standard of living in the country, not just by selling the raw material, whether it's oil and gas, but actually like using it in our own for our own purposes. But what's key here is that like people are so gung-ho about this whole secession thing. At least that's the way it's portrayed in the media. That I don't think people really understand what goes into secession talks and what kind of international backing you really need to be able to just secede. Like, you can't just secede, right? Especially not a province like Alberta that's in the middle of a country, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it just quite simply doesn't make sense, right? And you know, and then she also got some boos. There's a lot of like, see, this is all this political back and forth, right? Some people, even in the Conservatives, would rather see no pipeline, you know what I mean? But stick it to Ottawa, right? Stick it to the federal government in any way you can, right? But that's not really good or healthy, right? And then you have the same thing going back and forth with you know, even with British Columbia. The NDP are always on their asses. You have some people within the Liberal caucus as well that are against it. You know, we had that dude that left, Steven Guilbeault. I have a thing on him as well. And so there's a lot of immaturity when it from all sides. You know what I mean? But it's really, a lot of it is just political banter. And people trying to use what they can, the platform that they were supposed to be working upon to get their own way, right? So the NDP are apparently environmentalists, you know, more so than they should be, really. But when you can use the gas and the oil that Alberta can provide you, and you can build a socialist hellhole, even bigger one in BC, or do an actual socialist thing and build factories using that same oil and gas that Alberta's providing you with, right? Like that's essentially what real socialists would do. They would be building factories, right? But no one's here trying to build anything of value, right? They're like outside of Alberta trying to pump its raw materials through somewhere so that they can make more money. Everybody else is just trying to axe it, whether it's First Nations, whether it's BC, whether it's this person or that, like within the Liberals, it's a disaster. But let's see what these people say.
She can have her MOU and suck up to Carney. It's a bad look in Alberta.
With the way the Ottawa is running right now, we have no chance of ever getting a fair shake from our federal government.
But some...
And see, and those are just emotional responses, right? These are regular, everyday people. They're looking for Danielle Smith to stick it to somebody. But she did stick it. She stuck it to BC. And she's getting everything as she wants because the emissions caps are coming down. The oil tanker ban is being lifted. Obviously, Carney is doing his own political game. Carney's looking at a bigger political game that he's trying to swindle. Eby is trying to do his thing. Everybody's kind of playing tug of war on their own string, right? And it's a tough business, right? Because at the end of the day, the federal government can override provincial governments on projects of national interest. This is a project of national interest. And this is the way it's being treated now. And so this is where all of this hype is coming from. And I mean, it can really only escalate, right? But you know, we can see where that's going to happen. To me, the wild cards here are really the First Nations, people. But let's finish the video.
Might just need to see more action.
It's an easy out for Prime Minister Carney, and I don't think he's proven himself to be a man of his word yet, not to the West. So I'm hopeful, but I'm not really optimistic.
I think it's just like it's a different tone from Ottawa.
This Conservative strategist says Smith can win over the skeptical crowd if she's true to her word.
I think that message, which got her elected as UCP leader about standing up to Ottawa, is something that was important for her to drive, and I think she hit it home today.
Her party overwhelmingly voted in favor of a resolution supporting pipeline investment. Just how that happens is the sticking point.
And so exactly. So that one lady she has the foresight, right? They don't trust Ottawa, but they don't trust blackface Justin Trudeau, Ottawa, right? Carney's come in and he's flipping the table. I'm not a supporter of Carney. I'm just saying the guy's flipping the table on everything that blackface Justin Trudeau is doing. So this animosity towards Ottawa that exists has really been amplified over the last 10 years, right? Because of blackface Justin Trudeau. She's been sticking it to him, and she's gotten all of her political points through there. She played an amazing chess match, talking about a referendum if we don't get these pipelines going through. She's getting her pipelines. She's getting the memorandum of understanding signed. It still doesn't mean that anything is being done. They have a legal document saying that we have an understanding, not that this is going to be, not that the digging's beginning, right? So this is still a preliminary phase. All that Danielle Smith can do is keep pushing her side, keep being the check and balance with Ottawa to get her way. And she's doing a great job thus far, right? So all she has to do is she just needs to keep doing it. And if Ottawa slips up, she's gonna have political points. She'd be like, hey, you guys aren't doing what we did. And then she's gonna have a couple other political games to play in the background, right? And so what's happening here is now you have the Liberal government trying to cover its tracks. They're trying to not cover its tracks. They're trying to light out the fires, right? They're trying to put out the fires that have been lit because of all of this, right? So the First Nations people, Premier Eby. So you have the Minister of mineral resources here at Hodgkins. He went to BC to talk to Eby. Now, just quickly, his Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgkins traveled to British Columbia Friday for a meeting with Premier David Eby, who continued to express frustration over his province's exclusion from negotiations for the landmark deal Ottawa signed. He's just a loser. The political fallout from the Memorandum of Understanding signed Thursday also continued internally for Liberals after the sudden resignation from the cabinet of longtime environmentalist Steven Guilbeault. Mr. Guilbeault, in charge of the heritage portfolio, told Prime Minister Mark Carney he was leaving the job hours after the MOU was unveiled, and sent a letter sharply criticizing the new Memorandum of Understanding with Alberta. Among other things, it removes the oil and gas emissions cap. So a lot of things have been. The federal government is retracting a lot of things that blackface Justin Trudeau implemented. All of these garbage ESG policies that are just taxing everybody for no reason. That's all being lifted. Why? Because we need to be competitive. You're not competitive with all of these things, right? With all these levies and trying to build things, manufacture pipelines to a certain standard that are too green and all of. You're not competitive. You're not competitive. There's no point of investing more money, additional resources into something to get extremely minuscule environmental results. Like, there's no point. You're just losing to the competition. That's all that's happening. And especially if you want to sell to Asian markets, you're going to lose to the competition, because in the Asian markets, you're going up against the Saudis, you're going to go up against the Qataris, Kuwait, everybody that's there, even Iran now, because they're a part of BRICS and they're selling to India, they're selling to China as well, their energy resources. The Asian market's a whole different story. You need to be very competitive for the Asian markets, right? And we can't do that if we're taxing ourselves, just quite simply. But what's key here is they keep quoting this Steven Guilbeault, the guy that left the caucus, but just to show you what kind of a loser this guy is. He is just a green. He's a green activist, but you know how all of these non-governmental organizations work. They receive tons of money. They're always on somebody's payroll, and they don't really hide it, to be honest. So this guy, Stephen Punwasi, actually did a really great job on covering this. We just want to get into it. And so just so if you guys didn't see, this is these are transcripts from ourcommons.ca. So this is a document viewer, just so you guys know. As you can see here, it says Steven Guilbeault, the Minister of Environment, in his public disclosure, continues to hold shares in one of the largest recipients of funds from the Liberal Green Slush Fund. How much? Cycle Capital received over $200 million. Steven Guilbeault not only worked there before being elected, but also still owns shares in his public disclosure and is benefiting from the investment by SDTC in Cycle Capital's businesses. So this guy is receiving federal money into a private company, and he's in government. Is that not conflict of interest? So someone's funding this guy essentially to talk shit about energy policy in Canada and the environment, but he's receiving $200 million on the side. And we need to feel bad. And we need to feel bad about this guy leaving or thinking that this is some big deal. This guy received $200 million. The company received $200 million. And this guy's benefiting from it. Come on, man. Here we go. And goes, however, just by way of explanation on Minister Guilbeault, he indeed does have quite a bit to do with this because before he was elected, he was the in-house lobbyist for 10 years. So that's for Cycle Capital. So he was an in-house lobbyist for a private company in government before he was elected minister. Guys, we hired an NGO loser to work as a minister under blackface Justin Trudeau, and then we got a series of all of these garbage environmental policies. This guy's making millions in the back end, where all of our pockets are being hit hard, and now he quits, and the political framework of it is, the Liberals are weakening and this. This guy should be in jail for conflict of interest. And he goes, watch this, it gets even worse. In his public declarations on his conflict of interest, he lists still being a shareholder in Cycle Capital. He wasn't even hiding it. He literally just didn't care. He wasn't even hiding it. The guy's making millions on the side, and he's the minister, and he's pushing policies that his private entity is going to be receiving funds for. This is Balkan level corruption, guys. This is Balkan level corruption. Check this out. So the federal government is axing $1 billion of green fund in response to a report by the Auditor General that pointed to the significant lapses in his handling of federal funding. No way. There were lapses? No. What? You don't say. Hey, look at this. According to Auditor General Karen Hogan, Sustainable Development Technology Canada violated its conflict of interest policies 90 times. 90 times. What the hell, guys? What is this? This is Balkan level corruption. This is the type of stuff you'll see anywhere in the Balkans. It's like that African guy. It's like that African president. He's like, corruption is only bad when I am not involved. That's almost a direct quote. This is basically that same thing. They, check this out, awarded $59 million to 10 projects that were not eligible and frequently overstated the environmental benefits of its projects. These guys should be in jail collectively. I'm sure that there are tax ways that they can end up in jail for 10 years. What the hell, man? And we're supposed to feel bad, or there's something dramatic about this former environmental minister leaving office. He can go screw himself, man. He needs to get out of here. What is this shit? This is a catastrophe, man. And check this out. So it's a debate that has jammed up the House of Commons for nearly 2 months now. Doesn't appear likely to end anytime soon, as neither the Liberals or Conservatives are showing any signs of backing down from a House order that directed the government to hand over unredacted documents related to a now defunct foundation responsible for doling out hundreds of millions of federal dollars for green technology projects. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we dealt with blackface Justin Trudeau, who should be in jail. He should be in jail for all of this garbage. This is next level corruption. And so, very, very, very happy for Steven Guilbeault talking about this. And then you have the BC Premier who is saying, I would support the pipeline if we kept the tanker ban. How are you going to transport the oil if you don't lift the tanker ban? Like, how's this oil supposed to get to Asia? What are you talking about? And so, I'll read the first couple of these. It says, BC Premier David Eby says he would be prepared to talk with Alberta and Ottawa about the prospect of a new oil pipeline, but only if the existing tanker ban on traffic off his province northern coast remains in place. Prime Minister Mark Carney and Albertan Premier Danielle Smith signed a memorandum of understanding. Okay, whatever. Mr. Eby has opposed lifting the tanker ban and also complained that he had been cut out of talks about the agreement. The Coastal First Nations and Alliance of Nations of British Columbia North Coast have condemned the agreement and said they intend to fight it. And so, not to get into this too much further, but as you can see down here, right here, it says, Alberta has long advocated for an oil pipeline to the North Coast, an idea that was rejected by the government of former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau when it blocked the proposed Northern Gateway pipeline nearly a decade ago. So, guys, you have this Liberal minister who was a green activist who was receiving funding from the federal government for non-governmental organizations, which is crazy in and of itself. I would love to see how much money all of our politicians are receiving from various organizations to promote certain policies. Any of the policies. It can literally be related to anything. It can be related to the environment, to our education system, what's being taught in schools now. Literally, quite literally anything. I would love to see it. I would love to see it because I can guarantee you there are billions of dollars that are being received from these side actors that are just lining the pockets of our politicians, and then they're continually spinning the wheels in the House of Commons, in Parliament, and nothing actually gets done. All you get is more of these stupid, idiotic environmental policies as one, because that's specifically what we're talking about right here. This is insane. I'm sure Eby is on a very similar boat, being NDP. I can almost guarantee you. Closer to the bottom of this article specifically, they talk about, hey, why don't we connect it to the Trans Mountain Pipeline and push it all into Vancouver, because that's already there in Vancouver. Let's extend the pipeline by like 1,000 kilometers, right? Instead of having a shorter pipeline, employing people in northern BC, like giving them high-paying, high-value jobs in northern BC, maybe populate northern BC a bit more because of the new jobs that are going to be created. Like, they need to build the infrastructure up there, right? Building that infrastructure for these pipelines, for these oil tankers, you're gonna need a lot of workers there, and they're all gonna be paid very well. So let's not do that. Let's just push it all into Vancouver. And then what? And then you're gonna have more of this. So the Environment and Climate Change Minister Julie DeBruce is pushing back against claims from Steven Guilbeault. I'm just gonna increase this a bit. Steven Guilbeault, who resigned from his cabinet this week over Ottawa's memorandum of understanding with Alberta, and said that Canada is dismantling several pieces of its climate plan. The climate plan that he was paid millions of dollars to invent with blackface Justin Trudeau, right? He says, I really respectfully disagree with Guilbeault on his characterization of this memorandum of understanding, DeBruce said in an interview on CBC's Rosemary Barton Live. I don't see it as backsliding, and I don't see it as canceling programs. So this is the guy. This. You really want to listen to this guy? Jesus Christ! Like, Guilbeault, who was Environment Minister under former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau before being named Canadian Identity and Culture. What the hell? What is this? We're inventing new ministries, guys. There's so much bureaucratic spillage of funds in our government. Like, what the hell is this minister? What is the purpose of this ministry? Canadian Identity and Culture Minister. Identity and Culture. Minister of Culture, okay. You always have to have a Minister of Culture, right? They invest in music and art and all of that. They give certain funds to museums and art galleries, and that's all good and well. Like, we need that. Come on, man. Come on. This guy's making millions of some green slush fund. He expressed concerns about the fate of those policies in a statement announcing his record. Get out of here, bro. So this is just a whole bunch of, this is just political rhetoric to make the problem seem bigger because they're not getting their way. Because the forces that existed during blackface Justin Trudeau pushed certain policies, now they're not getting their way, right? And now they're all complaining, right? And that's what you get when and so Carney's making his rounds. He's going to talk to the First Nations directly. He has to do this. This doesn't surprise me. He's making his. I'm not going to actually read this, but what else you get here, and I'm just going to quickly touch on it. Is you have a premier who has foresight. Northwest Territories premier pushes major projects list in a meeting with Carney. This guy came down to Ottawa because he was like, oh, the federal government's going to be investing in the Arctic. Great, let's do it. I wanna get ahead of this, right? And as you can see, so there's a $1 billion Arctic infrastructure fund in the major projects office. Honestly, I don't think that's enough for the type of infrastructure that we need, but it's a good start. I'm sure that this can be elevated relatively quickly because we really need to get that going as soon as possible. It says on the November 4th federal budget, which featured cover art of a cargo ship sailing through icy water, said the 4-year program will allow Transport Canada to fund projects in the north that have dual use applications for civilian and military purposes. Exactly. It has to be dual purpose civilian because we need to trade. We need trade going through the north, and then we also need military hardware, ships, frigates, subs, all of that to be going north, to be protecting those same trade lanes. And that's civilian and military always goes hand in hand. I'm actually not going to get into this all that much, but I actually genuinely respect this man, R.J. Simpson, the Premier of the Northwest Territories, because he saw the writing on the wall. Let's do it. Let's see what we can do. That's really all I have for today. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please leave some comments in the comment section below. I love answering your comments. What do you guys think about this situation? I think that what's being pushed is a current alignment, if you will, between Canada's national strategy of national importance that's just coinciding with Alberta right now. And I think this national strategy, this energy strategy is going to be in perpetuity. I don't think they're going to be backtracking at any point. If they do, honestly, then we're idiots. I don't know what else to say. But obviously, there's this political fallout that has to exist. They have to deal with this idiot David Eby in British Columbia. Who knows who he's being paid off? Who's paying him off for all the rhetoric that he's saying? Probably not the First Nations, but someone is 100% lining his pockets, lining NDP pockets to be pushing these types of policies that they're pushing. What do you guys think? My name is Miloš Krajčnik. Stay informed, stay curious, and God bless Canada.
This is Canada. Maple syrup and like Captain Say. Kick your ass all hockey season,